Hello, survivors and killers in the fog, and welcome to the podcast. Today, we'll be talking about the PTB chapter called Tools of Torment. To say the least, it was badly received by the community. But why? Why was it badly received? Was it the killer? Was it the survivor? Or is it the whole chapter itself a problem? Let's start off with the killer, known as the Skull Merchant. The Skull Merchant's power is very weak compared to the other killers in the game. She deploys drones and can use her scanner to scan for survivors' location as long as they are in the range with the drone, or if they have the claw trap. Survivors will receive a claw trap when they hack into the drones. Then, the killer can scan for their location anywhere on the map. However, once removed, the killer cannot scan for their locations. Also, survivors get an eyeball icon above their character to let them know that the killer knows where they are. Killer receives an undetectable status effect when she is in the drone's radius, but only for staying in the radius for some time. It doesn't activate right away. Then, when the survivors are in the drone's radius for too long, they'll be exposed, and when they do leave the range, they still have the explosive status effect, but it will go away for a short amount of time. Many players have mentioned that her add-ons are very weak, but the strongest add-on that people are talking about for this killer is a brown common add-on that survivor can break a pallet when they do a fast vault on it, but if they have the claw trap on them. If they don't, the pallet will remain intact. The Skull Merchant's design is designed to be a high surveillance killer. However, there are other killers that does that as well: Doctor, Artist, and Knight. However, those three killers have a way to use surveillance power and a way to hinder the survivors. Artist Crow and the Knight's Guard can injure survivors, while the Doctor can shock the survivors, preventing them to do any actions for a small duration. Not to mention, there are other perks that can be used for surveillance. Therefore, all killers can have that surveillance power by using perks, if their power is not based on map info or surveillance-wise. Therefore, the killer is a huge disappointment to many players when looking at the design. The design of the power, lore, and her character. She is uninspiring, and it feels like a rushed chapter. The killer's perks aren't really good as well, with the exception of the perk called Thwack, which when a killer is breaking a pallet, wall, or the generator, survivors will scream and she can see their auras within 32 meters, which is an okay perk, but not as strong unlike the others. Also, the killer has, let's just say that she's been reused by other characters. The killer has a reused face of the Trickster, but as a feminine, reused Hattie Kayer's legs to the character, and when you're within the killer's terror radius at 16 meters, you can somewhat hear the Doctor's terror radius a little bit. Like I said, uninspiring, and it feels like the chapter was rushed and not properly fleshed out. Despite the negativity, the survivors are received well. They're sibling survivors, and their perks are powerful, and some are weak. I'll explain the two perks are very strong that worries other survivor players. One allows you to use their perk exhaustion twice, when you're on last hook and healthy. When you activate the perk to use your exhaustion perk the second time, you will be injured. However, you will regain your health state after 20 seconds. And the other perk allows you to run at 150% speed after unhooking people. But I'll let y'all be the judge of that, if y'all think it's good or bad. As for the Wheatwork maps, the Red Forest is more forestry, and the Shelter Woods now has a campsite where the Skull Merchant does her hunting. Both maps were received well, with barely any negativity. In conclusion, the chapter was mainly received poorly due to the killer's design, power, and her perks, making veteran players having to deal with the same feeling of no content for their game that they love to play. New players may find the killer fun to play for tracking-wise, but other killers can do better than her personally, like the Doctor. While the Maps and Spires were received well, they are sadly being the victim of this rushed chapter. Welcome to the Tools of Torment, or dare I say, Tools of Disappointment. I'm Melee Walker, and I'll see you all in the next video.